Alrighty. Well, I think it's time to do a bit of drawing. Lately, all I've been doing is playing Diablo on this channel, so I think it's time we actually get back to the meat and potatoes of it, wouldn't you say? So, why were we playing Diablo? Well, I enjoy Diablo. Diablo 4 had its beta release, and as a result of that, I had a craving to play some old Diablo, because I was away from my home during the open beta, which meant that I could not play it, and therefore I wanted to play some Diablo 1. Wanted to kind of absorb the game feel, the atmosphere, the design. As far as you can glean from playing the game in Diablo 1 is a bit minimal, so really more so the gameplay and the atmosphere. We want to kind of get in that mode for this drawing. And I think we're just going to be kind of sketching around. I don't expect to produce a masterpiece or anything finished during this stream by any means, but maybe do a couple of layouts, a couple of thumbnails, kind of see where that takes us. I'm just setting up a couple little boxes. I don't want to go too big yet. I don't want to get into the details, the nitty-gritty, but just set up, a little bit of a scene, if you will, that kind of captures Diablo. And I think what separates Diablo 1 from some of what we call like modern kind of action RPG type games is just how freaking like lonely you feel while playing it. Especially, I think there is multiplayer in Diablo 1. I don't remember. Frankly, I feel like that would change the experience pretty significantly, because there's just kind of this oppressive, like, lone adventurer against the odds kind of feel to Diablo 1. It's not an easy game. I wouldn't say it's like an incredibly difficult game. There's definitely easy ways to kind of cheese your way through it. I did mess around with item duplication and stuff like that. I'm playing a wizard or a sorcerer, and I'll probably end up finishing that run before I move on to Diablo 2. But yeah, that's kind of the feeling I want to go for. And the feeling of progression in Diablo 1 is different, and in some ways more satisfying, even if it's a little slower paced than a lot of like modern RPGs. So with that, let's kind of jump into it and see what we can come up with. And I've just got some kind of brush, is what it's called. Yeah, so I'm thinking like it's like you want to set up some kind of like central focal point on the character in some respect, but also communicate that he's like surrounded by enemies. And I really like the goat men. I think I want to do something with the goat men. So maybe we'll have our main guy here, maybe like a staff in one hand, and we will probably end up doing the sorcerer, although the warrior kind of is fun and fitting for something like this because it is kind of the classic Diablo class. I feel like that's the class that's sort of featured in the opening cutscene. It's the class that's in a lot of the marketing, and we like that. We like that kind of theme. I was going to pull up some pictures, and I probably should, of the sorcerer. I just know he has like a red robe. And I do want to get in kind of on his facial expression and kind of have like a facial expression that's like a grim but determined, like frightened, but still willing to plow forth. And I'm not too concerned with getting the design, perfectly on point, or on model, if you will. But there are some pretty cool staves and stuff like that kind of in the that you get to check out in the inventory. And I'm worried I may be getting into too much detail for this thumbnail, but have like a goat man. How do they sound? Yeah, pretty sick. Sort of in the foreground, being struck by maybe some kind of spell. I'm just going to take this. Move it up. Okay, and then we're going to grab this one. Move that down, maybe make it a little smaller so that we can fit more duders in here. So yeah, figure, kind of main focal point. Lightning. Maybe more goat men kind of over off to the side here. Maybe skeleton here. Something where he's like surrounded. Again, I think I'm going to move him up a little bit. We don't want him to seem too powerful, really. I don't feel like that's the feel of Diablo. Like, you can definitely get, like, crazy overpowered, but in the early game, it does not feel that way, especially if you're playing on harder difficulty. So... anyway, there's kind of, like, one sort of interpretation, maybe, and maybe there's, like, some kind of door back here. Maybe it has, like, the... sort of the archways that you find a lot of the places in D1, like bars over some of them. Maybe this is like one of the doorways that's open or something. Because that is one thing. It's like the you're trying to capture these sort of like oh shit moments in D1 where you open a door and because you can't see anything until you open the door, but you can kind of see the space, and then the second you open the door and step inside, the entire space just like fills with enemies because they were all in there and you just couldn't see them. Yeah, I definitely like the goat men, and I haven't gotten too far in the game. Yet. I'm only on, like, the 5th. I think I just completed the 5th level down. And that means that we haven't really gotten to some of the more difficult enemies and stuff. Really, Diablo 1 is not too terribly hard, especially, like, I'm realizing that at this point, I have enough money that I could probably just go in and like spam a shitload of spells and then just replenish my mana and town portal back for more. And like with that in mind, I could pretty much do whatever. Just go through and like blast with spells. Just totally blast them. Blast them good. Okay, so that's looking nice and messy. But we have a start there. And am I married to this vertical orientation? Not necessarily, but that's okay. Maybe we could do... I was thinking of something like the adventurer kind of like peeking around a corner or something into a room. It's like full of enemies or something. Yeah, so maybe something like... the guy's peeking kind of like so, and probably get a little more lean into it, so kind of like more that way. And there's just... I don't really know what I want to have in there, though. Let's not get too fancy with it. Try and get some big shadow shapes in there. Hopefully y'all can hear that sweet, beautiful sounds of the Tristram theme. I also don't know how people discover stuff in terms of like finding like live watch kind of streams and stuff. Because obviously, the last couple times I've done this, it's been at me actually playing the game. And definitely gotten some traction on those. But I don't know that I'm getting any strangers watching these. I kind of like this. It's like these guys walking around and then one of them kind of like turning and looking. Be like, what's in here? What could this be? I hear a noise. Perhaps there's some fresh meat beyond that door. So maybe we go with something like that. That could be fun. I don't know if I want to do something with like a boss type enemy fighting the dude. But, you know, we could go with like King Leoric or the Butcher or something like that. That could be fun. Like the Butcher, they did stick that in D4. I don't know what they ended up going with design wise. Okay, so that's kind of two options. So one kind of like the scared, not even scared, but like in preparation, like about to burst around a corner and unleash some spells sort of style thing. And then you have the, I guess this would be kind of like, if we're looking at this as a storyboard, this would be first, right? This would actually be 1, and this would be 2. This one, I mean, definitely has a little more opportunities for sort of like dynamic lighting and design. You can have the light of the spell kind of lighting things up. That's another kind of design choice in Diablo that actually makes it kind of unique and interesting, because your spells, you have like a light radius. You can't just like see everything off in the distance. There's sort of like a fog of war. And your spells illuminate the room as well. And that means that sorry, I'm just giving these guys little goat legs. That means that could be a fun opportunity to play with the Diablo as like a theme, like the game's features as a theme in the artwork. But I do like this sort of idea. and probably would want to tweak the composition a little bit to accommodate that. Okay. What's another way we could go with this? So maybe something with skeletons, classic Diablo enemy. Maybe something with all three classes. So we'll get the warrior in here. Kind of holding their ground. I need to make these guys smaller in the frame. I like the idea of having the caster kind of like right here. Maybe no staff this time, just like getting ready to just cast spells by hand. And the rogue sort of here. Maybe like up on top of something. This is not a very good drawing of a female figure, but, you know. We'll, let's see, how do you hold a bow? You hold it in your dominant hand, right? And you draw with your non-dominant. So if she were right-handed, that seems fine. Maybe they're like coming down a set of stairs. I kind of like that idea. Like they're descending the stairs. Warrior has sort of like gotten to the bottom already. Would be leading the charge. Being the strongest defensive. I kind of like that. Okay. That could be interesting. But, yeah, so... I have to maybe think about how I'd want this to work out. Like a stone wall behind. Maybe the place is desecrated with bones and other debris. This guy's got energy coming out of his hands, ready to cast a flippin' sweet spell. A spell of some kind. I could look up some Diablo 1 items. So I'm not super familiar with them off the top of my head, and do some subtle references to some of those designs in the shield, the armor, and other things like that. I'm not sure if there's... yeah, there might be some cool, unique bows and staves that we could kind of incorporate into this one. In fact, I'm going to take this out. You know, the guy in the opening cutscene has like really, you know, funny kind of like bulky armor. And I definitely don't want to use that as the kind of predominant design, but it could be funny to do something like that. Kind of draw on that old school energy a little bit more. Which I think if you're going to do a Diablo 1, if you're going to do it as fan art and not kind of like as a sort of redesign or reimagining, then you might as well kind of pull from that aesthetic. I think I want to do a video. I picked up this Art of Diablo book. And I think it was published a couple of years ago. I got it like fairly cheap. Let me see if I can find the publication date. What the flippin' heck? Usually that information is like right in the first couple pages, but mayhaps not. The Art of Diablo, with a foreword by Brahm. Pretty cool. Pretty flippin' neat, if you ask me. There's a lot of good stuff in here, but I will say, I think just because of what they had available to them, this is 2019, so a few years old at this point, but it has a lot of Diablo 3 and a little bit of Diablo 4, because that's just what was mostly available. So there's some Diablo 2 and, you know, really barely any Diablo 1 art, and that's probably just because it wasn't as necessary, it wasn't archived, it wasn't saved, and that's kind of a shame, because it would have been fun to kind of look at some of that stuff and draw some inspiration from. But I was thinking about doing a video just kind of reviewing this book as, you know, if you're a Diablo fan or you're an art person, like, is it worth picking up, given that the new game's about to come out? There's probably going to be a new art book that they release with more of the Diablo 4 stuff. And frankly, that's the stuff I think that people will want more so, given that they've kind of returned to that classic Diablo aesthetic. You know, obviously a big complaint about Diablo 3 is that it looks too World of Warcrafty, it's too chunky, it's too MMO video gamey, and I have to agree with that sentiment, unfortunately, and that is a lot of what is in. That is a lot of what is in this book, which I mean, it's not bad art by any means. It's like, you know, beautifully done stuff for that style. That's the only issue. It's like, if that's not the style that you're looking for, if you're one of the people like me that doesn't like Diablo 3 as much because of its stylistic choices, then yeah, you might not be super satisfied with it. But I don't know. I think I want to do like a more in-depth dive into it and just post that as a video. I think that could be fun. Alright, let's get some big, chunky shadows in here. I kind of like this idea. So a lot of times, so there's like one of two things that happens when you're doing sketches like this, and these are all like different, like pretty different ideas, I would say. But I'm just kind of sketching in like the body is something. Maybe there's a skeleton, some kind of like little imp creature, like a bat or something coming in over here. Another goat man. But a couple of things often happen when you do multiple sketches like this. You either come back to one of the first two that you did and think, yeah, these are the ones, or you're like, oh yeah, I'm really glad I spent the time to, you know, really think this through and give it another shot at the iteration phase. It's usually some combination of that for me. And I'm finding myself in this case kind of enjoying this this final version over here. Obviously it's very rough and loose, but I like the idea of having kind of all three classes represented. I like the idea of like, because Diablo 1 is based entirely around, you know, one dungeon essentially, with multiple levels that you just progress through. You're constantly going down, 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 and so like the image of them coming down the stairs, I think, is very appropriate. Although perhaps we'd want them to be like a little bit more grandiose, as it were. We want that to... Maybe the light source is coming from here. And you've just got this kind of like... But I also want the sorcerer to be a source of light. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's getting ready to cast a spell. He's got like his own kind of like light radius thing going on. Skeleton. I like skeleton. I like skeleton. Wow, this is the riveting stuff that people like to come and enjoy and watch when they think, I'm gonna spend my time watching a live stream of some guy doodling a shitty drawing. You know, at least he talk good. At least he talk good. Not really, but okay. Well, I kind of like where these are coming from, so to speak. I like the riffing that's been done here. You know, we don't necessarily have to... I just think, like, what do I... You know, if I'm going to be streaming this, I might as well do something not unique with it, but something like, you know, where it's a contained sort of progression towards the goal for the bigger picture, right? But that could also mean just like doing some sketches of the enemy types that we want to be represented. It could mean like doing some other things like that. And I kind of like the kind of border element idea. So let's go ahead and maybe attempt to get this one down in more detail. And we'll take that over here. Oh, what the hell, we'll just do it all in the same layer. We'll just embiggen it. That's a word. Embiggen. To make big. To make large. Large and in charge. Okay. Now, at this point, we probably want a little bit of reference, maybe. Well, maybe not even at this point. This is not typically how I construct my my works. Typically, I just draw something in kind of the middle of the page, and then I sort of just riff around it. But in this case, I felt like it was better to have a kind of handle on the larger composition. So if we're thinking about this, let's kind of like rule of thirds this, where we have sort of like the kind of stairway section here. These are very rough thirds. Stairway section, kind of like a middle section, like not no man's land, but kind of no man's land, yeah. And then the enemies kind of like coming in at this diagonal, so that's definitely not thirds. That's yeah, fuck this. This is why I don't do composition with rules, because it stink. Actually, this is giving me an idea for another something where you have like light coming in. You have somebody standing, kind of like a silhouette here, casting a shadow maybe, and then there's enemies kind of like off on either side. Like so. Also very appropriate for Diablo. And like skeletons and such. Spooky, scary skeletons. Sending shivers down your spine. Something of that nature. I don't know. That looks like ass. That looks like total flipping ass. Let's take this. And now we will ensmallen it. To make very small. As they say. Get that out of here. Alright, now you know what we're going to do, actually. Is we're going to cheat and use some digital magic. Because I am lazy. And would rather just kind of riff right on top of this. So let's make it like super duper faint. So you can't even barely see it. And we'll get in there with some red, perhaps some red mechanical pencil maybe? Rough pencil? I don't know, let's try this. Yeah, it would probably do me some good to actually do a little research before I dive into the next phase of this little drawing. I don't want to get too bogged down in these details either, so I'm going to be careful here. You got to be careful not to get stuck in the details of the thing. Because at this stage, that's not really what we're going for. We're trying to capture the atmosphere and work out some of the problems that might arise with regards to perspective and, you know, other garbo like that. Should we have little flame? And also, you know, this is the stage where it's nice to add, like, little ideas for things that you might want to include. Like these little kind of like torch thingies. Because I know that there are things like that kind of sprinkled in. I think about like a lot. I feel like a lot of the stairways have kind of like a. It's more like something. They're like wider and they kind of like spread out almost like palace steps or something like that, rather than like a simple kind of downward staircase. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And also keep in mind the kind of like focal point of this thing. Where we want all these dudes. Because maybe what we could do is get that sketch kind of in place. Huh. Yeah, this is getting out of hand. Let's go back to the original kind of idea for this. It's much simpler. God damn, the Tristram theme just slaps, does it not? Frickin' sweet stuff, you know? We move the warrior down. So he's like here. Make sure that shield is kind of breaking his silhouette a little bit. Get this skeleton kind of in the back here. Goat man. Plenty of goat men. Maybe I'll take some inspiration from like Beastmen designs and stuff from Warhammer. Could be fun. Get a sip of coffee. So if we move him down, we get more room for the mage. Yeah, I'm already not loving this, and I think maybe it's just, you know, it's kind of an unfamiliar process, and I'm having trouble working through it while thinking about talking and stuff like that. So maybe we just don't do that and kind of work on each of these figures, for example, individually. Like I'm getting too bogged down in the figures themselves. This little mustache goatee thing going. That sorcerer. He's got his sweet staff. Sweet flippin' staff. Maybe he's casting a fireball or something. Yeah, I think we want to get a little more messy, a little more dynamic with this. And maybe something where they're in the action already and the warrior's like blocking and the mage is sort of behind. So let's try and sketch out what that might look like. You know, maybe there's a sword blow. Just smacking down on there. Get the warrior's wavy locks. Sort of, I don't remember what kind of warrior or what kind of armor the base warrior has, but something like that. It's kind of like, "Rawr! Get back, fiend!" So we have some potions on this guy's belt or something. The rogue. And the wizard kind of backing things up here. Maybe even like actually move this a little bit. We got enough space. Oops. Deselect that so we can actually draw outside of there. Maybe a couple of fire spells at the ready. Goat men coming in from behind. I'm not sure that, I mean, they are just called goat men. I mean, I think goats have horns like that. Or these are more like ram's horns, but pretty sure these are the horns they have in the game. I do want to have just a beefy, ripped goat dude. I feel like that would just be fun. Alright, we go about 45 minutes. Get this one to an hour and then take care of some other stuff I gotta do. I'm hoping to maybe get a little bit of time tonight to play some more Diablo 1, which I'll do on stream. I want to beat the game on stream. I don't know if I really want to play it. Like, I have like one run going. I don't know how many times I'm going to want to play it. I purchased the game. It was like $10. But I also picked up Diablo 2 Resurrected from Blizzard's spring sale. It was only $13. That's now the third time I've purchased Diablo 2. Had it on disc when I was a kid through the battle chest, and then bought the vanilla game in Lord of Destruction last year, rather than waiting and paying full price for the Resurrected. Maybe it was like 2 or 3 years ago now. I purchased it and I played a little bit. And yeah, just I installed Resurrected last night, played it this morning for like an hour, and was very pleased. Very pleased with some of the quality of life changes, very pleased with how customizable your options are. You can basically, you can press just one button at any time. Like, you just press G and it automatically switches the graphics back to the original graphics. Just like, it's it's like one of those things. It's like, it's there presumably so that purists or people who just like the old graphical style can switch back on the fly to the one that they prefer. But really, it feels almost more like a flex on behalf of the developers to be like, look at how much you can compare. You can see how much better it looks. Oh, you don't think it's that big of an improvement? Let me show you how huge of an improvement the new graphics are over the old. In the way that I've seen it described in some of the reviews. It's it looks how you remember the game looking. With your nostalgia goggles on. Not even nostalgia goggles, but just the game was visually very well done when it came out. It's got good design and good aesthetics, and it sucks you in with its gameplay to the degree that you kind of forget that it actually sort of looks like shit. It doesn't look like shit. It still looks good, but it's standard standard aspect ratio, you don't get widescreen support on the old graphics, stuff like that. And it just oh man, it looks good. It looks really good. Lighting effects are really nice. So I was pretty satisfied with it. To be honest, I don't know when I will get Diablo 4. If this streaming games thing picks up, if I actually get people watching that and they're interested in seeing me play it, I might pick it up. But until then, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm really gonna. I think I'm just gonna play D2. I'm just gonna play more D2 because Resurrected is. I'm pleased with the hour of it that I've played. So probably just gonna keep up with that and not bother with Diablo 4 until years later when it's on sale at a reasonable price. Because I'm not paying $70 for that game. I refuse. I refuse to pay that much money. I've already given Blizzard enough of my money over the years. Actually, I really haven't given them that much. Well, no, I bought most of their major kind of flagship releases outside of Warcraft or World of Warcraft. Well, I guess that's not entirely true either. I haven't played any Overwatch. I don't really plan to. Actually, Overwatch, is that free to play now? Was it free to play when it came out? I don't think it was. Either way, I don't really plan to give it much time or attention, so not really a huge deal for me. Okay. So we did a little sketch of these guys, and maybe they end up kind of on the stairs. Maybe I just use the power of digital and sort of puzzle piece this together rather than try and think of everything at once. So I have these guys fighting skeletal minions, or maybe this is a goat man. I like the idea of goat man striking this with a mace. Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that little sketch. No, that's fine. That's A-okay. Alright, what do we do now? Let's get another layer going. We will turn this off. And maybe just kind of sketch some goat men. And I think I want to do that in a dark color with the brush. Let's pull up some reference here. I won't be able to show it, but I guess I could. I don't know that it really matters all that much. I wonder if they've got some good goat men in this art book that I have. God, some of these guys are fucking ripped. Especially like the new goat men. Ooh, new enemy models for Diablo 2. Wow, those look really good. I don't know if I've encountered any goatmen yet in my run, but the resurrected ones look flippin' nice. And they do have different horns than I was imagining. They are more like goat horns. They're almost like... They almost look like antelope horns. Or antlers, or whatever you'd call them. Yeah, the D3 stuff, I gotta say, I mean, I'm not a fan of that aesthetic for Diablo. Like, looking at some of these weapons, they're just too chunky. Yeah, they're a little too video gamey, you know? A little too, Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard obviously, you know, created Diablo, but, Diablo always felt like it had a little bit more of a grounded kind of aesthetic in the first two. More grounded than like Warcraft, that is. Not like really all that grounded in reality, but... Alright, so we got kind of like some of these new ones have like this sort of hairy back kind of thing going on. They've got horns like come down like that. Kind of eyes like so. I'm going to have them kind of like on the side, and then mouth. I like the idea of them having like big, kind of like really goat-like eyes. Obviously goat-like, but like, you know, like a real goat's eyes. Which are like big, and they've got those weird like... It's like Black Phillip from Davovich. The big spooky vitch. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. these horns. There we go. That's a bit better. I found I like kind of working with these chunkier brushes and then sort of going in and doing the detail after. What I used to do is like go in with like a really light, kind of a light brush, like a pencil style brush. Do a really light sketch and then go over that, and that's nice too. I kind of like switching it up, but also found that it is good to go in and just kind of go nuts like this from time to time. Just give him a nice hairy crotch kind of thing going on here. Some kind of belt. They're goat men after all. They have some, they have weapons. They've got weird little altars. They would make things. They have some kind of social hierarchy. They got stuff going on, these goat men. They have an inner life. What must it be like to be the goat man? Who can know the inner life of the goat man? Only the goat man may know the things of which he spake. This guy's a little chunky boy, kinda, isn't he? I always draw my duders really stocky like this. Like I have to force myself to get them not so stocky. He's got kind of a club thing. Sort of some arm wraps. And little hooves going on. Funny little hooves and such, you know. Little goat man nips over here. Hey, the goat man, what do you know? Okay, well, there's a goat man. Let's get another one. Let's go a little wilder, a little crazier. Maybe this one has like a big axe. Let me get this dude a little lower. Fit his horns in here. Gotta get that flow in there a little bit more. Yeah, I like this kind of pose that we have going for him. And I'm thinking, like, I mean, this stuff, I won't call it generic fantasy, but it has, obviously, you know, there's like the fallen guys in Diablo 2, the little, and they have like, is that what they're called in Diablo 1? It might be. In any case, give this guy a nice big old axe type thing, like some kind of sickle. Maybe a sickle would be nice for this dude. Where it's more like curved like so. Kind of that half moon vibe. But what I'm saying is, I think, you know, maybe I'll recycle some of these designs for D&D type stuff. Make the Moon Clan or whatever they're called, like the different clans of goat men. Give them all their own little flavor, abilities and text and items and stuff like that for a monster manual entry. Maybe we'll give this guy like a more ornate kind of thing. And I know we're getting off track here. Getting a little off track from the original goal of the stream, which was to make some fan art. But you know what? The enemies are kind of like one of the more distinctive things. Well, the base classes in Diablo 2, pretty distinct design and aesthetic. And then the enemies, of course, have their kind of distinctive, like in terms of like fan art that would be recognizable. And now, like, you know, with Diablo 4, I don't know what it's like in Diablo 3, but you customize your character to the point that they're kind of unique to you, and so you're not like, it's not like if you made God of War fan art, you of course be drawing Kratos. But with this kind of stuff, it's like you're drawing the enemies, not the main characters as much. Like, I honestly couldn't, like... It's like the characters, for example, in Diablo 2 are not, like, rendered to a great amount of detail. So, you know, there's, like, folks like Deckard Cain and, I don't know, Tyrael, like those, like, supporting cast kind of characters that come into play, that have, you know, recognizable designs. But not many of the others, I would think, would. Like, some hardcore fans would, like, know who they are, probably, if you rendered them with recognizable features. But I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now. Basically, the point is, I think you want to do like a Diablo fan art, you got to get the enemies right in there. Or do Diablo himself. Even I kind of like I like Bale's face. His weird like skin flap over his nose that he's got going on. I think that's pretty fun. Give this guy a little bit of hair going on here. There are goat men, but are there goat women? Maybe the goat women also have hairy backs and such. You know, I like that, you know, they're kind of really buff, but, you know, because they are sort of a prey animal, they're also, like, scared. Like the idea of making them, like, easily frightened, but very violent, like, apt to violence. Which they are, of course, in the games. At least the apt to violence part. He's kind of, like, too close to this other guy, and that's why his sickle's kind of, like, cut off, but I would like it to be longer. Nice. Oh, I think somebody might be home. I can hear the dog rushing to the back door. That usually means somebody's back. And he gets all excited. So excited. He loves his humans. I can hear him scampering around out there. Which might mean that it's time to call this. Maybe come back to it a little later. I do like where this is going a little bit. Save. Always remember to save your progress. Yeah, I think going with having some goat men. Although the skeletons are pretty iconic, Diablo, but they're also like more generic as an enemy type. Whereas the goatmen are very on theme for Diablo. So we like that. We like that a lot. Hey, I don't know why this just popped into my head. Probably because I was doing a British accent, but the if you ever played Hellgate London, that was kind of a fun action RPG slash, I think it was kind of like a third person. Maybe you could. I can't remember if you could do first person in it, but like a shooter action game, because there were melee classes too, but it was like a looter shooter set in kind of a post-apocalyptic London, where these like hell gates have opened up and there's demons pouring out and you got to fight them. And yeah, the classes had some cool abilities. There was, loot system. I don't really remember it well enough to remember like what the issues with the game were. Definitely had some, but it looked pretty good. And it was in terms of the graphics and some of the designs were kind of cool because you had these like sort of futuristic weapons kind of combined with kind of magical elements. In some of the classes, you had like an engineer that had like little robot drones, and you had, just like stuff like that. Let's give this guy like a little chest tuft. These guys need their little chest tufts of, little goat man happy trail kind of thing going on here. It's kind of funny opportunity for some little design choices up and around those parts there. Maybe nobody's home after all. I'm gonna check that out. I was wrong. It was a false alarm. In any case, I might still end the stream here in a minute. Although I like these little guys. These funny little guys. Let's see. Where to go next with something like this? Make them a little more ornate or not. I also haven't decided how I want to incorporate them into the final piece. I like coming at them. So, we actually probably want some of them sort of from behind as well. So kind of like... rushing in. Got their little goat. Their furry goat backs. Oh, maybe there is somebody home. Alright, well, yes, I like that idea. We need a couple of duders, kind of from this perspective, work out some of that perspective work. Or just like the viewing angle, like, what's going on back here? What does the design look like from this vantage point? These guys have tails. They have like little Do goats have like little tails, right? I don't know if I'm going to give these guys tails, but this guy looks like a rabbit right now. We'll deal with that later. Anyway, I think we're going to call it there. I'm going to end this stream. And I'll probably be back with more of this at a later date, and definitely back with some more Diablo gameplay, as well as Diablo 2 once we beat Diablo 1. Probably just going to try and blitz through the rest of Diablo 1, spam spells, use lots of potions, and wreck Diablo in the final level. So, with that, we're going to call it a day. Thanks for watching. If you did happen to stick around and watch all this through on the, the rerun, as it were, I don't know what you call those, the stream replay. Yeah, thanks for hanging. Take care, guys.